Hmm. All right, let's go live in a moment. Let's see here. Namo Bang Sua Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Namo Bang Sua Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Namo Bang Sua Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Hope everyone can hear me well. I'm having a pretty good day, and I'm pretty happy to be here with you guys. I'm trying to get. I'm trying to put more time into becoming online and be a more available presence for those who speak English and are interested about the Dharma, monk life from the beginning, in the middle, and to the ongoing continuation of monk life, especially in the um, in the footsteps from somebody from the Aboriginal Black diaspora. It is something that is not very common. It is something that is very unique. And maybe there might be something where I may be able to facilitate um, may be able to facilitate answers or help on what it's like being in the monastic world here in Asia for such a long time. My name is Jihui Fashu, or Jihui, or Bante, for some of you who know me from before. I've been a monk for about 10 years. I think it's about 10 years this time. And I've been living throughout Cambodia, Thailand, Taiwan, Vietnam, practicing Buddhism from Theravada all the way to Mahayana practice where I am right now. And with that being said, today's topic we're talking about are the tiers of tears. And what that means is the levels of tears and what do they actually mean? Because tears, obviously, we know are something that is something that is connected to emotion. Tears are something that is connected to emotion, and a lot of people have the understanding or they're thinking that emotions are actually bad in Buddhism because they show a craving, or maybe they show a wanting desire or a resentment to something in the past, a craving for something in the future, or or a unsatisfactory or unsatisfied notion about the present, which is not actually true. It may be in some cases, yes, but not always. So we're talking here about we're going to try to expose as much as what these tiers actually mean in Buddhism in a full point. There are different type of tears that one may sow in one's life. Tears of rejection, tears of happiness, tears of compassion, tears of joy, tears of sadness. So we know that different type of emotions, when you come in contact with a situation, they cause a response. I was with one of my good friends today, and they had an appointment that they're really looking forward to pass. And unfortunately, they didn't pass the requirements of the appointment, and it made them sad. And it's not the end. They can always go ahead and retake, but I felt sad for them because they were sad. And that's not bad. That's not a bad thing at all. To have empathy for the people that you care for and to be empathetic, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So, going on about tears and why people cry and the reasons why people cry, they're endless, but the idea is that tears can serve as a kind of mirror for your practice. When you have emotions, when you have that cause you to cry or cause you to shed a tear, it is a way for you to mirror and look at your practice in an interesting light. It can become a question rather than an answer. Okay, what attachment is present? What expectations was not met? What fear has been exposed? What wholesome quality has just arisen from the tears that were shed or the moment that was shed? Well, hi there, Molly. Thank you for joining. Hi, Molly. And in the sense, tears become feedback. Now, remember, we're looking at this in a lens of Buddhism or Buddhist lens. Okay, tears are feedback not only for your practice, but also what's going on the inside. It points to it points to your attachments, uh, the wholesome qualities that have just arisen, and what expectations were not met, and is it worth you holding on to something that causes you so much disappointment or so much sadness? Okay, so we're going to continue on here. It says where we are. From the Buddhist perspective, there are several kinds of tears, right? The first tier is of attachments. We lose something we want to keep or we don't obtain what we desire. These tears point towards craving. It's called tanha. Tanha means a clinging or upadana, which means something like a claving, like a cat's claws on the curtain. And if you try to take the cat off the curtain, it's ripping the fabric of the curtain itself. This is the idea of tanha. Not only does it hurt the cat itself, it also tears what it's been clinging onto. Okay, the the reveal where the mind says this should not have changed. Okay, and this is where the point it says in the mind, this should not have changed. Okay, it's also you type of rejecting the reality that you live in. These type of tears hurt you because you are no longer living in a state of present being and awareness of the truth of the way that things are. You are now rejecting it. It can't happen to me. This shouldn't happen to me. Don't they know who I am? How dare this happen to me? I'm this and I'm that. This is the ego. And the ego likes to play the victim for things it likes to ignore. Okay, the second type of tears are the second type of tear is compassion. Okay, a bodhisattva or a saintly awakened disciple may see the suffering of others and be deeply moved. These tears are not rooted in craving, but in compassion. They're called karuna. Karuna. Even here, however, Buddhism encourages compassion to be balanced with wisdom so that one is not overwhelmed by another's suffering. Okay, so seeing and having compassion for someone else and what they're going through, being empathetic, and you having tears for some of the sufferings, the joys that other person goes through, that is a way to soften your own heart. That is a way to care about yourself as well as others. And this is a beautiful thing that Buddhism teaches, is that we must have compassion for others, even the idiots. Not just have compassion just for somebody because they do well. Not to have compassion for somebody because they're poor, but to have compassion for all beings, no matter if they're rich, poor, Muslim, Christian, wealthy, black, or white, but to put things in a human experience. That you feel hurt because your brother in humanity is suffering. And you try to do your best. You try to do your best to help them out, regardless of where they come from. So the next is, or the third, tears of gratitude. Tears of gratitude are something that's going to open your heart, and it is going to not only open your heart, it softens your heart to be able to accept accept things that are going to make you happy as well as others. Sometimes, and sometimes more often than others, during deep meditation, tears of gratitude may manifest itself. Through deep contemplation, someone suddenly sees the impermanence of nature. They start to see the errors in their ways, the errors of their thinking, the misguidance that their chitta, the misguided thoughts and their ego has been running them all over the world, running them all over the town, chasing this and chasing that. They see these things and they say, wait a minute. I've been running around chasing after something that actually hurts me and others. I've been thinking I'm going after enlightenment or going after peace and tranquility. But on the contrary, I've just been reducing the power of the battery of my heart. I have been running around like a headless chicken, exhausting all my effort and energy for no reason. The emotional release may come not from sadness, but from the disillusion and confusion. These tears are not insight in itself. They're simply an accompanying a bodily response. Accompanying bodily response, especially when you're meditating. These are tears of release. This is the holy water. That is the holy water. It is the holy release of the burdens that you've been carrying on your back, and you finally let them go. These are the real holy water. Because it has made you change your perception, change your behavior, that you no longer, these are tears of wisdom. They have no longer, that you are no longer satisfied by doing the works of ignorance, and you have completely abandoned it to do the work of the righteous of self and righteous for others. But you also must be very cautious about how too much emotions can consume your attention. They consume your attention and your mental effort. When those conditions shift, whether they're for grief, relief, or forgiveness, or understanding, the body often releases that accumulated tension through crying. In that sense, tears can accompany a release. Like we're saying before, there's a passage in early Buddhist teachings that is worth reflecting on, where the Buddha said, and samsara, or the cycling world that comes over and over, you have shed so many tears because of this constant rebirth, going over and over, that you have constantly shed so many tears that is more than the amount of water in all four seas. This is a Buddhist teaching that we are taught in the monastery. That is why it is important that we seek better than constant rebirth and recycling in a world where we already know, but we constantly forget because of the ego. We constantly forget because we're entertained by this world. We're entertained by a world that does not offer you any type of true peace or tranquility. And the teaching in itself invites us to even ask, what is the cause of tears? And how can that causes come to an end? By letting go, by changing from emotion to development and of application of wisdom, panya. That is how to let go of what causes you harm. Let go of what causes harm to others. Perhaps maybe the most practical question for the practice is not why am I crying, but what are these tears trying to teach me about my present state of mind? Sometimes the answer is, am I clinging? Am I craving? Am I craving? Am I not letting go? Sometimes is my heart open? Is my heart closed? Is my heart not accepting the present situation? Is my heart giving me an illusion to what is really happening? Sometimes am I finally letting go? Or is this another trick to keep me chasing? Is this a trick to keep me chasing after a world that gives me temporary happiness? It doesn't give me long-term happiness. It gives me short-term happiness. Tears themselves are morally neutral, but the wisdom comes from seeing their causes clearly. What is that? And that is the essential of the Buddha's teachings. Not by suppressing tears, nor by celebrating tears, your tears, or celebrating someone else's pains, but by understanding them. What is the reason why someone would be crying? And this is actually essential for our growth. This is one of the most important things. And it bothers me that how unhuman people can be towards someone else. You see it all day on Instagram. You see it all day on TikTok. A man falls off a ladder and 30 people laugh at him. A lady walking across the street gets hit by a car, flings her in the air, and everybody starts laughing. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. It was the weirdest thing ever. I remember when I started to travel, I was in Arabia. And I got my first dose of reality that things are not the way that I grew up and saw them to be. I saw this old man with a cane. He was walking across the street, and another guy was backing his car out, swaying his car. He was walking, and the guy wasn't paying attention. And he swung his car and smacked the old man and flipped him in the air. And I started laughing. I was like, oh my God, ha, 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 ha. And everybody just looked at me with the coldest stare. And I realized that people are empathetic here. They all were shocked and wanted to run to help the old man. But where I grew up in America, if that was to happen, 40, 50 people would have sat there pointing the finger, take out their phones. Well, we didn't have, at that time, nobody had video phones, but people would sit there and laugh at him. And I realized how uncompassionate I was and how empathetic I was, where people were damn near going to start crying for the old man. He could have been anybody. And then I started to realize that I had to make changes in the way that I saw the world and interacted with other human beings. What if that was my grandfather? What if that was your grandmother? Forget that being that human being is not related to you. It's another human being that is a vessel that carries wisdom. And he was hurt. So another way that causes people to descend in the games of the mind is not releasing their tears at all. That causes even a bigger problem, a bigger form of resentment. I grew up where men don't cry. Men don't shed tears. And the more that you suppress that, the more angrier, the more violent, the more volatile you become, like a volcano. Because you want to release these tears, but you're told by society men ain't supposed to cry. A real man never cries. If you cry, you're a sissy. You're a punk if you cry. Now, who was the one who actually came up with this? Who was the one that told you that this is the right way? It's very hurtful. And I don't think this was the way. And I found out that it really wasn't. Tears can help you as long as they are spent and directed in the way to develop yourself, develop wisdom. That's going to help you. Tears for letting go of a bad situation. Those are the best tears for me. Tears that I'm no longer interested, connected, or desire to be with what it was that was causing me pain and affliction. All those are the best tears. The tears where I've learned something of great value. That is very helpful for me. I know that you guys really aren't online at the moment, and I wish that I could speak with you guys about situations of the Dharma, but maybe you guys are asleep, or maybe the video in itself is being suppressed. I don't know, but that's not the purpose anyway. The purpose for me is to tell you something that maybe in the future will give you something to reflect on, to keep your meditation longer, to help your meditation go deeper, to even just go deeper inside your own mind and realize that maybe there's something worth of value to ask yourself that'll help you become better at being a better person, move you closer to the way of the Dharma, the Buddha, and your practice. So that is all for today. And maybe I'll stay on for a moment or two just to see if there's going to be any type of questions. That would be kind of lovely. If someone has some questions on here, I'll stay for a moment. You're very welcome. Today's a very slow day. Today's a very slow day. And I don't think I have a problem with that. I really don't. I really don't think I have a problem with today being a slow day. It's a really nice day to sit here and meditate and just have a few good, clean breaths of fresh air to reflect on the moment, the current moment. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm really just wondering if you guys can hear me well. I'm hoping you guys can hear me well. I'm wearing this microphone and I turned the volume down on my phone, so. Let's see. I wonder if I was to turn this camera around, would it actually go the long way? See if there's also anybody out here. It's on here. Well, that's what's up. Well, that's kind of cool. Oh, that's right. That's true. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. You're appreciated. It's weird because you find people that come online, they all they want to do is try to fight and argue. People rather, people instead of listening to what is actually close to the truth, is the truth, or just flat out is not, you see people, they only care about a title. They don't care about what you have to offer them that's going to help their life. They care about a title. Is it blue? Is it red? Is it green? They don't care about the nutrition of what it is they're consuming. They only care about the name. Is it a desk? Is it a chair? Is it a wall? They don't care about what they're consuming, whether it's hot fire flame, whether it is toxic to their health, whether it's too sweet or too sour. They only care about a name. Are you Buddhist? Are you Muslim? Are you Christian? Are you this? I'm a person just like you. I eat when it's time to eat. I sit down when it's time to sit. I sleep when it's time to rest. I breathe when it's time to breathe. I wash my clothes. And then I take a rest and I complete the same thing as tomorrow. And I feel that human beings are too worried about the name of the product other than the product of itself. What are you able to produce? I think that you can do a lot better than that. For those who are really involved in the spiritual path of development, names are something that is used for the ignorant that don't have the ability to understand or contemplate or see what it is they're dealing with. Languages are for the weak. I mean, they do have a purpose. They, of course, language has a purpose, but it is definitely for the weak person who's not able to perceive what they're looking at. So they need deep explanations because they can't see it for themselves because of lack of knowledge, lack of awareness. Not that many people online right now, so I'm going to go ahead and take my lunch, take a break, and drink some tea. And then after that, hopefully I'll see you guys online again. If I've said anything that goes against the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and the Bodhisattva, please forgive me because I'm always learning and I'm always developing my knowledge when I come in contact with pieces of scripture or truths, may they be, and where they find them in scriptures, books, or just in practice amongst the scholars, etc. All right, so I want you guys to be happy today. Remember, do something good at least once a day. Do something kind at least once. Do something that's going to benefit others, and try not to argue so much. Try not to care so much about people who are discouraging you from being a better source of light for people who are stuck in darkness. That's all they want you to do is conversate with them. They're lonely themselves. They want to fight with you. They want to argue with you because that's their way, that maybe their parents or their surroundings, that's the only thing that they know that gives them attention is to fight and argue. But you're better than that, and you don't need to reflect or mirror that behavior. So you just keep being yourself and keep being good out there. All right? Peace, blessings, love, and light. Amita Fall, Amita Fall, Amita Fall.